June 2009, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was nominated by the Umar Musa Yar'Adua administration to head the Central Bank of Nigeria. His appointment confirmed by the Senate 2 days after, and he became the first northern Nigerian to head the apex bank during a global financial crisis. With a huge academic profile, he steered the ship of the bank till he uncovered and raised the alarm over a $20 billion NNPC scandal, an action that jolted the nation and raised the dust of controversy. Amidst the scandal, the government alleges that through the report of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Sanusi had been involved in various acts of financial recklessness and misconduct. He is suspended from office while investigation continued into breaches of enabling laws, due process and mandates of the CBN.
The central bank is an independent institution. There is a section of the act that says the president cannot remove the governor without two-thirds of the Senate. There was a reason for that section. You cannot go round that section by saying, I'm not removing you, I'm suspending you. You cannot do that because it undermines the entire principle. And if the idea is, well, under the Interpretation Act, if you, or the idea is the president appoints so he can suspend, the president doesn't appoint. He proposes and the Senate confirms. So the governor is actually appointed by both the president and the Senate, and therefore should be removed by both. And so for me, I think we should challenge it. I think it should be challenged so that governors coming after me will not refuse to act or will not refuse to be independent for fear that they will be suspended. Me personally, what happens to me, I don't know. What the state has limitless powers. It's got the police, it's got the EFCC, it's got security services, it's got the judiciary, it's got the prisons. It can do anything. It's got the armed forces. So I mean, the state can do anything to me. That's fine. But we want to make sure that we establish the principle.
Shortly after the controversial suspension by the former President Goodluck Jonathan in the heat of the $20 billion NNPC scandal, Lamido Sanusi is appointed the 14th Emir of Kano, a first-class royal title, in 2014, following the death of his great-uncle Ado Bayero. The former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, hands over the certificate of appointment, concretizing his emirship and attracting a name change.
By the Kano State Chiefs, appointment and deposition, law 1984, and acting on the recommendation of the kingmakers, I, Honorable Musa Kwankwaso, have the pleasure to heartily convey your appointment to the Emir of Kano.
He's a man of courage, a man of integrity, a man that will die defending the truth. And he has all the qualities needed to make a great leader. And I'm confident, based on our knowledge of him, that he would excel as the Emir of Kano.
Sanusi's reign as the Emir of Kano Emirate starts on a shaky note as protests erupt against him being the choice. A year after the enthronement of Muhammadu Sanusi II, the tranquility of the palace became threatened in a long-running row with the state government led by the current governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje.
And this institution has a tremendous capacity for change. We have one point, the Emir appoints every district head, every village head, every ward head, every imam and every deputy imam of a Friday mosque throughout the Emirate. I don't think there's a single system where an individual has such direct control over so many people that reach the grassroots, so that communication from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top is almost seamless. Now that way, the institution has a tremendous ability for transforming the way people think, the way they perceive, the way they accept policy, and the way they collaborate with government. That is the role that I see. The first thing is to let people understand that going back to the Islamic roots, a lot of what we see as problems actually come from our leaving the teachings of the religion. Islam preaches education for all adherents. I've just addressed a few days ago some of the issues around, say, early girl-child marriage, removing girls from schools and marrying them off in the name of Islam, which is actually a cultural practice that is not consistent with the teachings of the religion, or the high rates of divorce and basically a lack of concern for the rights of women.
Amidst the controversy, Governor Ganduje splits the Kano Emirate with a legislation from the State Assembly that ushered in 4 more emirs, a move Governor Ganduje says will make the Kano traditional system more efficient.
This is an arrangement now that will make the system more efficient, because the issue of education, the issue of security, the issue of agriculture, they are too many and they are too heavy to be allowed out to one centralized traditional system. So we assume and we know the present structure will certainly promote security, will certainly promote education.
But the decision did not come unchallenged. A high court in Kano State gave an order asking the State House of Assembly, the Speaker of the Assembly, the Clerk and the Attorney General of the state from implementing the law creating the new Emirates. However, this was after Governor Ganduje had signed the bill into law. In a statement, the Kano State government denied receiving any court order restraining Governor Ganduje from taking any action to create the new Emirates.
The governor, in consultation with the Emirate Council, may depose any emir in the following circumstances. 1. The deposition is required in accordance with the tradition or is necessary for the preservation of custom and tradition or peace, order, and good governance. 2. Where the emir consciously and intentionally fails to attend meetings of the State Council of Chiefs for 3 consecutive times without a valid and reasonable excuse. Or 3, where the emir commits an act of gross misconduct. Or 4, where the emir abuses his office. Or 5, where the emir commits an act of immorality or acted in an ethical manner that is not compatible with the societal values and the ethics of his office.
6 years on the throne, the Emir of Kano is dethroned and banished from his home state. The Secretary to the State Government, Usman Alhaji, makes the announcement on March the 9th, 2020, stating that the removal of the Emir of Kano was in line with the recommendation of the Kano State Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission. The state government added that the dethronement was part of its move to safeguard the sanctity, culture, tradition, religion and prestige of the Kano State Emirate, established over a millennium ago.
Dethronement of the Emir of Kano Emirate, Mohammed Sanusi II. The Emir of Kano is in total disrespect to lawful instructions from the office of the state governor and the other local authorities, including his persistent refusal to attend official meetings and programs organized by the government without any lawful justification, which amounts to total insubordination. It is on record, and in so many instances, Mohammed Sanusi II has been found breaching Part 3, Section 13A to E of the Kano State Emirate Law 2019, and which, if left unchecked, will destroy the good and established image of Kano State Emirate.
The deposed Emir of Kano is banished to Awe in Nasarawa State in accordance with traditional stipulations and afterwards kept in detention. The former Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, had over the years been noted for being outspoken and fearless. Sanusi had continued to speak about the state of insecurity, corruption, poverty in the north, and socio-political issues impacting the region negatively.
If I were to advise governors in the northwest and the northeast, which goal should they focus on? It's one, and it's a subset of one. Just educate the girl child. No, the population in northern Nigeria today is probably 5 times what it was in 1960. In that period, you've had desertification. The Chad has lost its water resources. So the resources have shrunk and the population has increased. You're not going to solve that by having the government spend money. You've got to address cultural attitudes to at what age do girls married, how many children do girls have, how many wives do men have. It's not money. It is not about money. Okay? Now, if you want to address those things, you also have to say, what is the quickest way to address them? You can spend your time convincing religious scholars and traditional rulers to go and be campaigning. But you don't preach to somebody who wants to marry a second wife or a third wife, and then have him listen to you. He loves the one he wants to marry her. Okay? However, if you educate the girls, and make sure that they finish secondary school and have skills before they start getting married, they will not have 8 children. They will not accept domestic violence. And they are more likely to stop their husbands from having a second wife than if they didn't have education.
His comments against child marriage, building more schools instead of mosques, al-Majiri, and infrastructural development have been vehemently criticized by northern conservatives.
If you're a governor in the north or a leader in the north, and if you are seen as normal in the sense that you continue to do what your predecessors have been doing the same thing which has been normalized, then there's something wrong with you. You are part of the problem. We've been saying this for 20, 30 years. If the North does not change, the North will destroy itself.
While on the throne of Kano Emirate, Sanusi spoke out on government policies. He criticized the state government of misplaced priorities, and it is believed that this stirred the investigation into alleged corrupt practices within the Emirate. His lawyers label his banishment as an infringement on his rights to liberty and personal freedom as enshrined in the nation's constitution.
The Kano State Executive Council, the Kano State Emirate Council law, which was recently enacted by Kano State government, does not give the State Executive Council or the Governor of Kano State the powers to unilaterally remove the Emir. The reason given in the letter of deposition of the Emir dated 9th March 2020 was alleged, quote, disrespect to lawful instructions from the authorities, unquote. The Emir was also alleged to have, quote, refused to attend official programs and meetings organized by the government, unquote. As far as we are aware, there has not been any notice of such disrespect ever given to the Emir or query issued to him for refusal to attend official functions. He was never given any opportunity to defend himself against those charges. Section 13 of the Kano Emirate Council Law 2019, cited in the letter of deposition, empowers the governor to depose an Emir only after due inquiry and in consultation with the State Council of Chiefs. We call on the authorities, in particular the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the Department of State Services, and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, to ensure the immediate release of His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II so that he can be reunited with his family. We are concerned about the personal safety and security of His Highness at the remote location where he is being held, and wish to call on all well-meaning Nigerians and the international community to bring their influence to bear to ensure that His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II regains his liberty immediately and to guarantee his safety and security. The legal team of His Highness are working both in Kano and Abuja, and unless he is released immediately, will be taking appropriate legal action.
While a new Emir of Kano is announced, the deposed Emir fires back, filing a suit before the Federal High Court in Abuja for an order for his release from banishment. Napoleon Idinala is a legal practitioner and a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association in Kaduna State. He describes Sanusi's banishment and detention as illegal. He says the deposed Emir's major crime was his openness and boldness to speak to the powers that be. According to him, most of the issues raised by the former Emir are germane.
Let me just tell you, any law that you wish to exercise, any tradition, any custom, any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void to the extent of that inconsistency. You have accused him, saying that he does not respect constituted authority. That is the government, the governor, and the government. That is your allegation. Have you given him the opportunity to defend? Was Sanusi given any opportunity whatsoever to defend himself of these allegations? None. He was not given. And the Constitution is very, very clear. Where an allegation is made against an individual, Section 36, where an allegation is made against an individual, that party must be given an opportunity to be heard, to defend himself. Sanusi wasn't given an opportunity. Perhaps you may say he's in court. Yes, he's in court. The House of Assembly is trying to investigate him. He felt he didn't like the way they were going. They were infringing on his constitutional right. He went to court. The anti-corruption agency in Kano is investigating him. He felt that they were infringing on his right by not complying with certain requirements of the law. He went to court. But you, the government of Kano State, you did not say you are punishing him, you are removing him pursuant to the resolution of the House of Assembly or pursuant to the resolution of the outcome of the anti-corruption agency of Kano State. No. You say that your executive council has met, together with who and who, you have met, and you have concluded that Sanusi is guilty of certain provisions of Section 13 of the Kano Emirate law, in that he does not respect constituted authority. He has no regards for constituted authority, blah, 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 and therefore you are hereby dethroning him. That you have done. But the question that will be asked if he decides to go to court is, was he given fair hearing? For him, the drama playing out in Kano State is a slap on the revered traditional institution which must be condemned. This is an emirate, not just emirate. This is a traditional institution that the country, Nigeria, first of all, this is an institution that the country is proud of. This is an institution that is a reference point, not just in West Africa, in Africa. This is an institution that is also a reference point worldwide. Nobody comes to Nigeria either to acknowledge anything that has got to do with traditional institution without getting to Kano. If you have not reached Kano, then your trip to Nigeria is not yet complete. But just because of political differences, selfish sentimentalism, a governor or a government feels that they can, to spite an individual, an emir, decide to go on a balkanization spree. Well, it has happened before, that's the excuse. It was done by late Abubakar Rimi, the former governor of Kano, but it was later on done by Sabo Bakizwo, who appreciated the fact that, look, Kano is a monolithic society. It's a traditional institution. That is why we have Kano. They say Kano traditional institution, Kano Emirate. So it would have been better if Kano as an emirate is left alone. But to some people, they will say, well, when you break it down, the more the merrier, it goes round. It's just like saying, well, let's create more states. Let's create more local governments, when we know that some of them are not viable. It's just the same thing with some of these emirates that have just been created.
96 hours after, the court grants an interim order releasing the deposed Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, from detention. He lives away in Nasarawa State in company of his bosom friend, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai.
I came to see him to see how he's doing and to express my support for him. We've been friends since we were teenagers. He's been by my side throughout my troubles and successes, and I have to be on his side throughout his own successes and troubles. We're inseparable. So I came to see how he's doing and to see what more I can do for him. He is a great asset to Nigeria, Africa, and the world, and I think he has a great future. The Emir of Kano is just the beginning. I believe that the sky is the limit for him, and I came to be with him and encourage him. So, as you know, the Federal High Court in Abuja today declared his detention illegal and unconstitutional, and his banishment also in violation of the Constitution. So he's free to go and live anywhere he wants, including Kano City if he wants. But we are on our way to Abuja, and it is quite likely that the Emir would proceed to Lagos, which was his preferred destination from day one. From the day he was informed of his deposition, it was his wish to go to Lagos because his part of his family is now in Lagos, and by the grace of God, we are on our way to Lagos.
The former Emir departs Agwe in Nasarawa State for Lagos, arriving in the middle of the night into the welcoming hands of family members and friends. The former Emir speaks on his Twitter page.
I've done what I could in 6 years. I'm moving on. I don't want to go back. You know. So frankly, the truth is, if I wanted to go back, the letter was so badly written. This was so unprofessionally done. It is the easiest thing in the world to go to court. Fair hearing, High Court, just like today. It's simple, fair hearing. Did you query him? Did you tell him? Did you ask him to defend himself? Did you even call him to ask him any question? No. That's all. You know? But no, I think we should go on with a new phase in life.
Unforgettable is his call for spiritual regeneration, which he says will lead to the peace of the nation.
I think one of our greatest problems is ignorance, and we need to deal with that. And unfortunately, Nigeria, I mean, we have a number of extremely bright people. Unfortunately, the culture of reading and the culture of education has degenerated. And the kind of young people we're producing, the kind of mentality that we see on the social media is a reflection of the low quality of education that children have had.